Kelly again from underatexassky.com, and I am going to show you a different wreath that we are going to make today. We've spent some time learning how to make a couple of types of deco mesh wreaths, which are really beautiful, but I discovered that I had a lot of people asking me for just an evergreen wreath. That, you know, the deco mesh, while they're beautiful, it's not necessarily for everyone because they are kind of big and they're a little bit flashier, and some people want something a little more simple. And so that's what I'm going to show you today, how to do a very simple evergreen wreath. I've got a wreath here that I bought at a craft store, and I've taken some time already to kind of fluff it up because when you get it, it'll be all flat. And these are wire stems. Every stem on here is wire. And a lot of people will use these wreaths as the base for their deco mesh. You certainly can take your rolls of deco mesh and make your poofs or your ruffles or whatever you want to do, and just use these as your twists and twist them in. Matter of fact, we're going to use them as our twist for some ribbons today too. So we're starting with this for our base. Like I said, fluff it up a little bit. And then we are going to use 2 rolls of 2.5 inch ribbon. And I'm going with kind of a rustic looking ribbon. This is a burlap ribbon with a glitter. Plaid is always fabulous. It's fabulous all the time. And then I also have a smaller version, which this one is 1.5 inches of this version, which is going to look really cute when we use them inside the wreath. We're going to do kind of the same technique we do in some of the deco mesh wreaths. It's going to be a little bit different. And then I am going to be using a bow. That's one thing that makes these wreaths awesome, is you need to have a fabulous bow. And this is a bow that I made, and I am not a genius bow maker. I do not use one hand and twist the ribbon in one hand to make my bow like a lot of fabulous people do. I'm just not dexterous enough to do that. So what I use to make my bows is the trusty Bowdabra, and I am not a genius with the Bowdabra, but I think I can get the job done well enough to make a bow that's fantastic, and that's what I've done here. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube on how to use the Bowdabra. Maybe someday I'll show you how to do a quick tutorial on how to do it. But anyway, so I start with this a bow, a fabulous bow, and you kind of look around your wreath, and I'm actually going to look at the flattest spot. I've got a spot here that didn't fluff up quite as well as the other places, and that's where I'm going to put my wreath. And now you can do your wreath one of several different ways. You can put it at what you perceive to be the top and hang your ribbons straight down. You can stretch your ribbons out to the side from the top. You can put it on the bottom, and which is very pretty, and have your ribbon hanging down also. But I choose to kind of put mine on the side a little bit. And before I do that, what I'm going to do is, since I made this wreath with the Bowdabra, I didn't have this plaid interwoven in there. So I took the plaid ribbon, I cut strips of it, folded it over, and I attached it inside this ribbon to give it that multi-ribbon look. And because I didn't start with this, I don't have the ribbon that will hang down as the tails of my bow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist that into the wreath underneath where the bow is going. And think of this, when you're doing this wreath, as layers. We're going to start with the bottom layer, and we're going to work our way up. Also, you can see here I've got a variety of different elements that I may or may not use. They're all kind of rustic. I've got a little stocking, and actually I robbed this off of an old wreath that I had that was just in my Christmas box that I never put up anymore. I just deconstructed it and I took a bunch of stuff off of it. Since we're doing traditional red and green, I love the berries. The berries are fantastic, and you cannot beat pine cones. Pine cones are so Christmas. It looks great when you put them on a green wreath, especially if you have the red to pop. Now, For this ribbon that I am going to put on the wreath as one of the tails for my wreath, I'm going to show you how to chevron the end of it. Since I've already done most of the cutting on most of the ribbons I'm going to use, I'm going to show you how to chevron the end of the wreath, which is just this treatment where it looks like a chevron. I've heard people call it dovetailing. I've called it dovetailing. It's not really a dovetail, but you know, people call it a V, cutting a V, whatever you want to say. But I'm going to show you how to do that. Super easy. All you're going to do is you're going to take your ribbon, and I'm only doing this end because this end of the ribbon is going to be under the bow. And you just fold it over like this, and then you take your scissors, and on the folded side you're going to cut down toward the wired side, and this is wired ribbon, and you want to use that because it's very you can manipulate it in the direction that you want it to go if it's wired. So you're going to take the folded side, you're going to take your scissors, and you're going to cut down at an angle. The steeper the cut, the deeper the V, and that's a nice deep V. And I'm going to show you on this one. Now, if we were using both ends of this ribbon, which we're not, but I'm going to show you this anyway, you can do both at the same time by folding the ribbon over, and then you're going to fold it just like you did before. And then again on that folded side, and I'll tell you, if you don't cut on this folded side, if I were to cut this side down, you're going to wind up with a V that's pointing down, which would be a nice look, but I just happen to like that chevron end a little bit better. So we're going to cut that, and boom, both sides have been done. So that makes it a little bit easier. So I need to decide where I'm going to put this on the wreath. And I've picked out what's the flattest point of the wreath, as I believe I said, and I'm going to attach it right here to where one of the tails are going to go there and one of the tails are going to go here. But before I do that, now that I've kind of determined where I want it, and I like this tail longer, I'm going to come here and I'm going to twist this in to be the base of my bow. So I just find two of these little branches and I'm going to twist it in. And so it'll be secure. You could hot glue it in too if you wanted to, but the twists are there, it's available, so I just think that might be a little bit easier to do. Then I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to do the same thing, the different couple of the little branches. Just be sure that it's secure. And so I've got that there, and this here. And then my bow, when you use the Bowdabra, it has this nifty little twine or string that holds the whole thing together, and you'll wind up with quite a bit of it left when you're done, and that's a great way to attach your bow to your wreath. So you kind of decide where it's going to go, and that looks good right there. And then you can start manipulating how you want it to go. You can see here how I've done that. So it looks like it's all the same thing, even though I just added these ribbons to it. And those are tucked in, and you know, we'll see how it goes as we go along, what else I'm going to put in there. And then a lot of people like to take their ribbon and they'll take it and they'll wrap it all around their wreath. I have never been successful in making that look the way that I want it to look. It always looks like it's not a circle, and that drives me kind of nuts, and so I don't do that. What I do is, what I'll do here is I'll just take one of these tails and I'm going to tuck it in right here, and you just eyeball it and, you know, see where you think it might look good, and you can see already how cute that is. It gives yourself kind of more of a natural flow. And then this one is longer, so I'm going to ease that up. And I'm going to twist it in a little bit lower than the other one. And the great thing about this is when you twist it, your little branches are still in the mix. They're still doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you can see here, it's got a nice little shape to it. And we'll come around on this side. We're going to do the same thing. And don't worry about being super symmetrical with everything. That's not... Something that's asymmetrical is also pleasing. We get the idea that everything has to be very symmetrical. My husband, as you all know him as the mean man, he's the world's worst. He always wants everything perfectly symmetrical. If there's 3 things, there'll be 2 on the outside and 1 in the middle. It doesn't always have to be like that. It's okay to have 2 on one side and 1 on the other. And the same thing goes with these ribbons. It doesn't have to be matchy-matchy all the way around. So let's go ahead and secure this one. And then we're going to give kind of the illusion that the ribbons continued all the way around the wreath, because we're going to add them in, just like we do on the deco mesh wreaths. We're going to add some of those ribbons in, and I think that looks pretty fantastic, just like that. And you can see, and you know, we may end up trimming this one down, you know, as a matter of fact. It does need to be symmetrical, but it really does need to be a little bit more even than that. So I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to go ahead and chevron the end of it again. There. Now that makes a little bit more sense. It flows together just a little bit better. And then I've already pre-cut several ribbons that we're going to use on the wreath. And what I did was I used the same plaid that's here, and I added the smaller ribbon that matches the big ribbon, the 2.5 inch ribbon, this 1.5 inch ribbon. And those two I think look fantastic together. And it's nice, a little bit difference in the size of the ribbons. Just gives a little bit of interest. And then I'm going to pinch those in the middle, just like we've done on the mesh wreaths when we add those into the twists. Except now, instead of having an exact place where we want to put everything, we're going to have to kind of eyeball and decide where we are going to want things to go. And that is going to be based on all of the other things we have to put on here. We'll know that you know, they've got to be spread out and so forth. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to just start putting them in, layering them in various configurations. Oh, and the question may come up about why I call my husband the mean man. He is actually not a mean man at all. He's very wonderful. He's actually filming this right now. But sometimes we have a menagerie at our house, or a zoo full of pets. We have a cat and 3 dogs. And sometimes he gets pretty frustrated with the dogs, and he sounds like he's mean. We all know better. The dogs don't buy it. Nobody buys it, but it's just kind of a joke because everybody knows how good he is to me. And but we get the question a lot, why is he the mean man? He's really not mean. Okay, now, I think this looks pretty darn cute, just like it is. It's pretty fantastic, but we're going to make it even better by adding some more things to it. Now, it's kind of rustic, like I said. We're doing the burlap and the plaid, so it is kind of a rustic look. So I picked out some rustic elements that I thought would be good. I have this owl, which I thought was kind of cute. There was a whole section at the craft store with rustic elements. And so the next thing I do want to put on there is the next big thing. Got a little reindeer here. He's kind of cute. I don't know if he may be too cute. Maybe the owl. I think the owl may be a little less kind of frou-frou. And although, I mean, I'm all about frou-frou, but I think for this, in this case, and then keep in mind, keep your balance with the direction that your bow is going. And think about how it's going to hang, because you're going to have to attach the other elements according to that. I'm going to grab a zip tie. We use zip ties for everything. And I thought, I can. Okay. There's one little space right here where I can slip that zip tie through the owl's scarf. And I'm going to zip tie him to the wreath. Again, we're going to hot glue pine cones. We're going to add berries. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. More pine cones because you cannot go wrong. Different styles of pine cones. I may throw the stocking in here. I don't know, but we're going to take a break and I'm going to come back and it'll be done and you'll see how beautiful something very simple can be. Okay, as you can see, I've been really busy putting the little things on there that we talked about. I used the little branches to twist on the ribbons like you saw. I used the zip ties to zip tie these little wire balls on there. Hot glue for the pine cones, and then for the berries also I hot glued those. But you can see that you can make a very beautiful wreath with the evergreen wreath, and just be sure you have a fantastic bow and run your ribbon all the way around it, and I think you can come up with something that's pretty awesome. I hope you try it, and I will be back another time with another video on how to do something equally wonderful. Again, I'm Kelly at underatexassky.com. Thanks a lot and Merry Christmas.